Is it weird that I would say Dak Prescott? And I'm more confident in Dak Prescott per the expectations of Dak Prescott. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has had more success in the regular season than Dak Prescott. But at the end of the day, if Lamar doesn't go to an AFC championship game, the year is a failure. Period. So am I more confident in Dak to reach his expectations or Lamar to reach his expectations? I'm more confident in Dak to reach his expectations. Lamar's talent is so elite that I'm still appalled as to how the Ravens haven't already gotten to an AFC championship game. Or haven't gotten to a Super Bowl, rather. Like, I'm literally, appalled at how that hasn't happened. You got a new defensive coordinator, or new head coach in Minner, brilliant mind. You've added pieces, Trey Hendrickson, plus Roquan Smith. Hopefully he bounces back. You still got Nate Wiggins, Malachi Starks, not counting Marlon Humphrey. Most Ravens fans think he's done. You got Derrick Henry. I'm appalled that the Ravens haven't already got to the dance. So, to me, I'm more confident in Dak Prescott, but there's an asterisk there because I'm more confident in Dak Prescott to live up to the expectations of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys this season than Lamar Jackson's expectations.
Somebody actually went on camera and said they are more confident in Dak Prescott than Lamar Jackson heading into next season. I need you to read that sentence again. More confident in Dak Prescott than Lamar Jackson. The same Lamar Jackson who has won 2 NFL MVP awards. The same Lamar Jackson who is widely regarded as the most complete and dangerous quarterback in professional football right now. That Lamar Jackson. This is the take that is floating around out there, and at Gridiron Insights, we are not letting it breathe for one more second without a response. But before we tear this argument apart completely, we need to talk about the specific reasoning being used to justify this take, because it actually reveals something important about how people misunderstand Lamar Jackson's situation. Plus, we are going to get into the playoff narrative that keeps being weaponized against Lamar, and why that narrative is far more dishonest than people realize. And then we will get to the most telling hypothetical in this entire debate, the one that exposes everything. Stay with me, because this conversation deserves a real answer. Here is the argument being made. The claim is not that Dak Prescott is more talented than Lamar Jackson. Even the people making this case acknowledge that Lamar is clearly the superior quarterback. The argument is about expectations. The idea is that Lamar's bar is set so high that falling short of a Super Bowl is considered a failure, while Dak can post solid regular season numbers, win 12 games, and be celebrated for it. And it gets worse. The supporting logic is that Dallas has surrounded Dak with an elite offensive supporting cast. George Pickens now added to the mix, a strong offensive line, weapons across the board, and that those pieces give Dak a more predictable path to statistical success. Meanwhile, the Ravens keep loading up their roster and still have not broken through to the Super Bowl, which apparently reflects poorly on Lamar. Let that sink in for a second. The argument is essentially, Lamar is so good that his team's failure to win it all is his fault. And Dak is not quite as good, so when his team does not win it all, that is somehow acceptable. That is not analysis. That is a different standard applied to two quarterbacks, justified entirely by one man being more talented than the other. And let's be really clear about what this argument actually sounds like when you strip away the sports talk packaging. What is being said, whether intentionally or not, is that Lamar Jackson's greatness is itself a burden he should be penalized for. That because he is capable of doing things Dak Prescott simply cannot do, the expectation bar for Lamar gets raised to an impossible height while Dak's bar sits comfortably low enough that clearing it feels like an achievement. That framework should offend every serious football fan, because it has nothing to do with objectively evaluating quarterbacks and everything to do with protecting a comfortable narrative. Think about what it actually takes to win 2 MVP awards in this league. You are not just outperforming your position group, you are outperforming every other player in all of professional football. Quarterbacks, pass rushers, receivers, everybody. Lamar Jackson has done that twice. And yet somehow, in the year 2025, a panel of analysts is sitting on camera saying they are more confident in a quarterback who has never sniffed an MVP vote than they are in the man who earned that award unanimously. If that logic held up anywhere outside of sports media, we would be hearing it somewhere else. We are not. Because it does not stand up to 5 minutes of honest scrutiny. Now here is where it gets really interesting.
Like, for me, I think Lamar just has more expectation.
Yeah, they had 3 straight 12-win seasons, and then his rookie season they had 13.
But Dak only has he has one 13-win season. We've seen Dak win 12 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if Dak wins 12, that's the second most wins he's ever had in a season. Lamar do it like, all right, I've seen Lamar go 14-2 or 14-3. So to me, Lamar, you got to show up in the playoffs. The crazy fact is, T, in the playoffs, they're low-key the same dude. They are. which is crazy.
The Cowboys.
Let's talk about what Lamar Jackson has actually done, because the people pushing this Dak narrative keep glossing over the resume like it does not exist. 2 MVP awards. The first one came in 2019 when Lamar was unanimously selected, the first unanimous MVP in NFL history. He threw 36 touchdowns, ran for over 1,200 yards, and turned the Baltimore Ravens into the most exciting offense in football. The second MVP came in 2023, cementing what everyone already knew, that this man operates at a level that almost no quarterback in the modern era has reached. And Dak Prescott? Dak is a good quarterback. A genuinely solid NFL starter who has had strong seasons and built a legitimate career. Nobody is here to disrespect Dak. But good and generational are not the same thing. Solid and transcendent are not interchangeable. And acting like the gap between these two players is close enough to justify more confidence in Dak, for any reason, is a stretch that does not hold up under scrutiny. Now let us address the playoff argument directly, because this is the weapon that always gets pulled out when people want to undercut Lamar Jackson, and it deserves a thorough dismantling. Yes, Lamar has had some difficult postseason moments. Yes, the Ravens have fallen short of the Super Bowl in ways that have been painful to watch. But here is what the narrative conveniently leaves out. Lamar Jackson has also had genuinely excellent playoff performances that got buried because his team lost. He has gone out and competed at an elite level in the postseason, and in several of those games the outcome came down to factors completely outside of his control. And if we are going to apply playoff criticism to Lamar Jackson, we absolutely have to apply the same standard to Dak Prescott. And here is where it gets brutally honest. Dak has had 3 separate playoff runs where Dallas had legitimate rosters, 12-win teams, genuine contenders, and in all 3 of those situations Dak came up short in ways that were undeniable. Against San Francisco twice. Against Green Bay. Games where the Cowboys' defense gave Dak a real shot and the offense, led by Prescott, did not deliver. So if Lamar's playoff record disqualifies him from being the more confident pick, what does Dak's playoff record do to his case? Let's actually walk through those Dak playoff losses with the same energy the Speakeasy crew walked through Lamar's. In the 2018 divisional round, Dallas had a legitimate defense and the Rams were not unbeatable. Yet C.J. Anderson ran all over that Cowboys defense and Dak could not will his team across the finish line. In back-to-back seasons against San Francisco, Dak's offense sputtered in the moments that mattered most. And then the Green Bay playoff game, a 48-32 loss where Prescott's numbers looked decent on paper but the Cowboys were never actually in control of that football game. 3 different rosters. 3 different playoff exits. Same result. Now compare that to what Lamar Jackson has had to deal with in his playoff losses. Turnovers that came in moments of high pressure, yes, but also games where Baltimore's defense gave up points it had no business giving up. Games where the supporting cast around Lamar disappeared at the exact wrong moment. The difference between Lamar's playoff narrative and Dak's playoff narrative is not the outcomes. Both have come up short repeatedly. The difference is that Lamar gets blamed for his team's failures as the superstar who should have carried everyone, while Dak gets a softer examination that focuses on supporting cast and circumstance. That is the double standard playing out in real time, and the Speakeasy crew just put it on full display. Both of these quarterbacks have playoff shortcomings. That is the honest truth. But only one of them has 2 MVP awards. Only one of them has made the opposing defensive coordinator's entire week of preparation look obsolete. Only one of them can beat you with his arm on 3rd and 15 and then take it himself on 4th and 1. That is Lamar Jackson, not Dak Prescott. Here is the part of this conversation that I think matters most, the hypothetical that cuts straight to the heart of this debate. If you put Lamar Jackson on the Dallas Cowboys in 2018 and gave him the offensive infrastructure that Dak has had, the line, the weapons, the organizational support, do the Cowboys make a Super Bowl run? The honest answer from almost everyone who watches football seriously is yes. Probably more than once. Now flip it. Put Dak Prescott on the Baltimore Ravens since 2018. Do the Ravens make a Super Bowl? That question is a lot harder to answer with the same confidence. Because the Ravens have put legitimate rosters around their quarterback, and the moments where Baltimore has fallen short have been complicated situations where Dak's playoff history does not exactly inspire certainty. That hypothetical is not designed to destroy Dak Prescott. It is designed to illustrate what is actually being said when people argue that Lamar Jackson is a less confident bet than his Dallas counterpart. What they are really saying is that the weight of Lamar's expectations, the weight of being that good, is being held against him. And that is not a football argument. That is an unfair standard dressed up as analysis. Let us talk about what 2025 actually looks like for the Ravens. because the roster construction in Baltimore right now is genuinely frightening for the rest of the AFC. The defense is being rebuilt under a new coordinator with a reputation for aggressive, multiple front schemes that create chaos for opposing offenses. Trey Hendrickson added to the pass rush gives Baltimore a legitimate edge presence to complement what they already have. The secondary has young talent developing at a pace that has the Ravens projected as a top 5 defensive unit before the season even begins. And on offense, Lamar Jackson is still there. Still in his prime. Still the most difficult player in football to game plan for because he punishes you whether you load the box or drop into coverage. If there was ever a Ravens roster built to finally make the deep playoff run that has been just out of reach, this is it. New defensive system, upgraded personnel, and a quarterback who is entering a stage of his career where his processing and pocket presence have developed alongside the elite athleticism that has always been there. And here is the thing about Lamar that people who reduce him to a running quarterback consistently miss. His passing has evolved to a point where calling him anything other than a complete quarterback is intellectually dishonest. He reads defenses. He goes through progressions. He throws with anticipation into tight windows. The version of Lamar Jackson that people compare unfavorably to traditional pocket passers is not the version of Lamar Jackson that is currently playing football. The league has spent years trying to figure out how to slow Lamar Jackson down, and what they keep running into is the same problem. Every time a defense overcommits to stopping one dimension of his game, he destroys them with the other. Load the box to stop the run? He drops back and picks your secondary apart. Drop 8 into coverage to take away the passing game? He tucks it and gashes you for 15 yards before the pocket even has time to collapse. There is no clean answer for what Lamar Jackson does. Defensive coordinators around the league have admitted as much. And yet the same people who acknowledge this on Monday morning turn around on Tuesday and tell you they are more confident in Dak Prescott. The disconnect is staggering. Lamar also brings something to the table that Dak simply cannot offer. The ability to change a game's momentum in a single play at any moment. A quarterback draw on 3rd and 7 that turns into a 50-yard touchdown. A scramble that turns a busted play into a first down that keeps a late fourth quarter drive alive. Those moments do not show up in a stat projection. You cannot pencil them in before the season. But they happen with Lamar Jackson on a near-weekly basis, and they represent a dimension of winning football that is genuinely priceless. Meanwhile, for all the confidence being placed in Dak Prescott and the Cowboys heading into 2025, that confidence is contingent on a lot of moving parts falling into place. George Pickens has to mesh with the offense. The defense has to take a significant step forward after years of disappointing postseason performances. Jerry Jones has to stop undermining his own roster construction by going public with advice about how his players should handle their contract negotiations. That last one is not a small thing. The Cowboys have a history of front office noise creating locker room friction at exactly the wrong moments, and nothing about the current situation suggests that pattern has been broken. In fact, Jerry Jones recently went on record suggesting that George Pickens, the wide receiver Dallas just acquired to be Dak's new weapon, should go around his agent and negotiate his contract extension directly through the owner. Let that settle in for a moment. The Cowboys literally just traded for this man, and before he has played a single snap in a Dallas uniform, the owner is publicly suggesting his player bypass professional representation and just trust Jerry to do right by him. Does anyone remember how that approach worked with Micah Parsons? Because Jerry's inability to get that deal done contributed directly to Parsons being traded, which left Dallas without their best defensive player and now scrambling to find edge rush help. The Cowboys keep running the same play and wondering why they keep getting the same result. That is the organization Dak Prescott is working inside of. Talented roster, absolutely. But organizational stability? Consistent decision-making from the front office? A clear-eyed approach to roster building that does not get derailed by one owner's ego? Those are not traits associated with the Dallas Cowboys, and they matter enormously when you are trying to build a Super Bowl contender. The Ravens, by contrast, have built their entire franchise around Lamar Jackson with a coherent long-term vision. That is not a small advantage. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback in a complicated situation. Lamar Jackson is a generational talent in an ascending situation. Those are two very different things. Here is the bottom line. Lamar Jackson is the better quarterback. That is not debatable. He is also on the better roster heading into 2025. And this is the year that the Ravens are built to finally silence every narrative that has been used to chip away at one of the most remarkable careers in modern NFL history. My prediction: Lamar Jackson wins more games than Dak Prescott in 2025, goes deeper in the playoffs, and puts up the kind of postseason performance that makes this entire conversation look as ridiculous as it always was. If you want to see how this debate plays out in real time this season, hit that subscribe button right now. And drop a comment below. Do you think Lamar Jackson finally gets to a Super Bowl in 2025, or does the Ravens window close again? This is Gridiron Insights. We'll see you in the next one.